Hi, hello, vanakkam and welcome back to yet another episode on Little Slack YouTube channel. So today in this video we are going to discuss about one of the very common challenge which the performance testers and engineers who face, because recently I've got some of the calls and queries asking how to design the custom graph, which is the custom load variation policy. So even this, in some of the cases, if you are not using it very common, you might face this challenge. So in this video I will just take you through directly how to use or how to plot the load graph in NeoLoad. So before we move on to the video, this is me, Vasan Shanmugam. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you have not subscribed yet. Like and share the video with your friends. So now coming back to the load graph. So this custom graph comes as one of the load variation policy, and in fact this works with all the three duration policies. So you can even choose this with your no limit, or even you can choose this with the iteration. But the point is, when you are choosing this with the iteration, you might not be able to choose a proper plotting. So here you can see it goes something like this. So in fact I can just delete everything in the graph to just show you why we should not use this custom graph with the by iteration duration policy, because this cannot be customized. So here you can see we have 260 users and you have 10 iterations. So when I click at some point of time, because when you are doing by iteration, you cannot see any of the timings here, which is the duration of the test. So anytime when you click on any of the point here, so for example you have to click on the control button and click on the point here. So here you can see you are setting up the plotting for 260 users with 10 iterations. So you'll be achieving a total of 2600 hits, and after that the test will automatically stop. But there is no point where you can do a ramp up, or there is no point you can do the ramp down. So that is the reason you are not supposed to choose the by iteration and custom, because that's a very wrong combination of using it. So what is the right combination? So when it comes to the right combination, come to the by time and come to the custom. So now when you click on edit graph, you can see the maximum number of users here, which you can see here at the left side of the graph, and then you can see the duration. So the duration initially will be same, or by default it will be 10 minutes of duration. So many of us will do a mistake where we will increase or we will make the changes in the scenario duration here. Say for example, if you find that it's just for 10 minutes, so you will change it to 1 hour and 10 minutes, and you'd find a straight line here and would confuse what is this straight line and why does it come in between this. And here you can see it's an end of test. So that means the duration that you see here, the duration policy, so this is the main thing. So that if the duration policy is set to 10 minutes, the test will stop after 10 minutes. So you have to increase the duration policy here. So I'm just changing it now to 1 hour 10 minutes, and now when I click on the graph, the automatically the end of test comes to the end of the page, because you have the same thing here, the scenario duration. So now you can check one more thing. So now in the duration policy, you can see the time is set to 1 hour and 10 minutes, and in the scenario duration, what happens when you change it to 1 hour? So when you change it to 1 hour, you cannot see the end of the test because it's at the 1 hour 10 minutes. So you cannot see that. In fact, the test will run for 1 hour to 10 minutes, but there won't be any users after your setup time. So you have to make sure that you are setting up the same time duration in both the duration policy and also in the plotting of graph. Let me change it back to 1 hour 10 minutes. And now let me tell you how to plot the graph. So to plot the graph, first let me delete all the points in here. So I'm just deleting every point, so there are no points in here, just the start of the test, which is at the 0 0. So we all studied the x and y graph when we were kids, so this is something similar to it. So the x stands for the duration of the test, and the y-axis stands for the number of users, and at the end you have the end of the test. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just come somewhere in the graph which is like closer, and which is try to 260, and I'm pressing the control button and then I'm clicking on the point. So here when I've clicked here at a point, I'm not sure whether it is the right point, because there are chances where we might do mistake, we might not be able to click on the right point. So in fact you cannot click beyond the 260, but you can click anytime, anything, any number below 260. So when I clicked, it was clicked on 259. So here I can manually change it to 260 and automatically it has increased. And now, so this is the ramp up part. So 260 users will be ramped up in 4 minutes and 12 seconds. In fact, if I want to change it to 5 minutes, I can change it to 5 minutes and make the seconds to 0. So the next part is the ramp down and the steady state. So you want the test to be running for a steady state of 1 hour. So when you are setting it for 1 hour, subtracting 5 minutes from 1 hour, 5 minutes is the steady state. So I'm going back to towards the end of the test. Again, I'm pressing the control button and then I'm clicking on the screen. So you can see a little slanting part here, which means I think it's again, see here you can see the users has been slightly down to 257. So let me again manually change it to 260. So now you can see the starting point is at 5 minutes with 260 users, and the ramp down, the end of the steady state, not the end of the test, but the end of the steady state is at around with 260 users, 1 hour, which is here you can see 1 hour, 5 minutes and 15 seconds, and I want to change it to 1 hour, 5 minutes and 1 hour, 5 minutes and 0 seconds. So now the test has been set up to 1 hour, 5 minutes and 0 seconds. So with that, we have set up a ramp up of 5 minutes, a steady state, so here you can see, and a steady state of 1 hour, and then finally from this point automatically the users will start to log out or will start to end their transaction based on the stop policy, and then they finally end up at the 70th minute. So in some cases, if the script is too long or if it needs a lot of waiting time, then they might be extended. So sometimes you might be confused that, see, I have set up the test for 70 minutes but it is running for 84 minutes or 80 minutes. So that's the reason, because if the script is like too long and if it starts ending here, and if one iteration needs to be like 10 or 15 minutes to complete its iteration, then it will definitely take its own time. But in fact you can even set up the stop policy so that it automatically stops the moment it reached the ramp down time. So you can set it up. So this is a quick look on how to set up the custom load variation policy using the duration policy. And I think you understand like which are the duration policies you should choose when it comes to the custom. So just a quick recap, you can choose either the no limit, where you can even set up the same thing. So here, if the same thing which I have set it up for the buy type, so that's loading up here. So you can set up you can plot the load graph when you're using a no limit, which is stopping manually. So you can either stop it, or what happens is after some point of time the users will come down but the test will keep on running, and you can add users. So we all know how to use that, how to add users to the runtime users. So you can use that to add load to the system. But in this scenario, so for example, so again, coming back to the iteration, so when you come to buy iteration, you can see you cannot increase or decrease the user load. You can just set the number of users and just the iterations, that's it. You cannot make any other changes to it. So it's more of a not flexible when you want to run a huge load test, and it's more like a test where you want to achieve the expected throughput. So when it finally comes to the buy time, you have to set up the time in the duration policy, because this is the time that will be considered for running the test. In case if it is like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and even if I have set like 2 hours of time in the load variation policy, it will not be taken. The test will end the moment it reaches the time in the duration policy. So here you can see I have set it up. So the moment I change it to 10 minutes, automatically the blue line will come. So that is the only thing, that's the reason you have this blue line coming in between the load variation policy. So anytime when you make changes, so automatically this will fail. So for example, if I just change it to different points, so it will automatically, so here you can see the end of the test is coming at different points of the test. So always make sure you have set up the right or the same duration policy in both the buy time and then the custom. And then once we come here, we have options to click. We should actually click in the screen by pressing the control button, and then you can set up your ramp up. And then once you set up your ramp up, we can set up your steady state, and then at the end we can set up the ramp down, so the users will slowly ramp up into the system. They will do all the transactions during the steady state, and then finally they will end up their transactions. So I think you might not have any more doubts or queries. So in case if you have any doubts, please do comment in the comment section. We'll discuss that in our next video. So until I meet you in another interesting video, it's bye bye from Vasan Shanmugam and Little's Law.